There was a time when no one believed in you. They laughed, doubted, and dismissed your dreams as mere fantasies. You were just another person in the crowd, trying to break free from the chains of mediocrity. But to them, you were insignificant. Every idea you had was questioned. Every step you took was met with resistance, and every attempt to rise above your circumstances was mocked. The world had already placed you in a box, labeling you with their limitations, their insecurities, and their fears. They judged you based on what they thought was possible for themselves, not realizing that you were never meant to fit into their mold. You saw life differently. While they lived trapped in their own fears, you dared to dream of something greater. But instead of support, you were met with ridicule. They told you that you were wasting your time, that you were chasing an illusion, that you didn't have what it took to succeed. And maybe, for a moment, you started to believe them. Maybe the weight of their doubts became so heavy that it clouded your own vision. But deep inside, there was something they couldn't see. A fire, a force, an unshakable belief that you were meant for more. You were different, not because you wanted to be, but because you had to be. The world around you settled for mediocrity, but something inside you refused to accept an ordinary existence. While others were content living within the limits of what society deemed possible, you saw no limits at all. You knew that history wasn't made by those who conformed, it was made by those who dared to challenge everything. And so, despite the voices that told you to quit, despite the people who doubted you, despite the obstacles that stood in your way, you made a decision. You decided to rise, to fight, to push forward no matter how many times you were knocked down. The path ahead was brutal. You faced failures that made you question everything. There were days when you felt alone, when the world seemed to turn its back on you, when giving up felt like the only option. But something inside you refused to break. Every failure became a lesson. Every setback became fuel. Every rejection made you even more determined. While others lived in the comfort of their excuses, you stepped into the fire of discipline. You woke up earlier, stayed up later, worked harder, and sacrificed more than anyone around you. While they wasted time complaining, you were learning, growing, evolving. While they mocked, you remained silent, knowing that one day your results would speak louder than their words. They called you delusional for believing in something they couldn't see. They whispered behind your back, waiting for the moment you would fall, so they could say, "I told you so." But you never gave them that satisfaction. You kept going, you kept climbing. And then, something changed. The impossible task that no one thought could be done. You did it. The barrier they said no one could break. You shattered it. The goal they mocked. You achieved it. And suddenly, the same people who once doubted you had no choice but to see the truth. They had spent so much time trying to convince you that your dreams were foolish, that they never stopped to consider what would happen if you actually succeeded. And now that you did, they were left speechless. Their laughter turned into silence. Their doubt turned into admiration. The same people who once looked down on you were now looking up. But it wasn't just about proving them wrong. It was never about seeking validation from those who never believed in you. This journey was never about them. It was about you. It was about proving to yourself that you were always capable, that you were never defined by their opinions, that you always had the power within you. The truth is, you didn't need their approval, their recognition, or their praise. You never did. You were never doing it for them. But now, they see what you saw all along. Now, they understand that the impossible was never truly impossible. It was just waiting for someone like you to make it happen. And now, as you stand victorious, looking back at the path you've traveled, you realize something even greater. This was never just about achieving a goal. It was never just about proving a point. It was about transformation. The person you were when you started, is not the person you are today. You didn't just accomplish something extraordinary, you became someone extraordinary. The struggle, the pain, the endless nights of doubt, all of it shaped you into the warrior you are now. And that is something no one can take away from you. Now they see the truth. Now they understand. But the greatest victory of all, you always knew. The moment you achieved what they called impossible, everything changed. The very people who once doubted you, who dismissed your dreams as fantasies, now had no choice but to acknowledge your success. The same voices that mocked you had gone silent, replaced by whispers of admiration, curiosity, and even envy. But you knew the truth. These people never truly doubted you because of your limitations. They doubted you because of their own. They had convinced themselves that certain things were unreachable, that greatness was reserved for a select few, and that extraordinary success was a matter of luck, not effort. But you shattered that illusion, and now they see the truth. At first they tried to ignore it. They acted as if your success was just a coincidence, an anomaly, something that wouldn't last. Some even tried to credit your victory to external factors, luck, timing, connections, anything but your relentless determination. Because to admit that you had built this with your own hands would mean confronting the reality they had been running from, that they too could have achieved greatness if only they had dared to believe in themselves. But deep down, they knew. They saw the years of work, the sacrifices, the unwavering discipline. They remembered the moments when they ridiculed you, the times they tried to tear you down, the countless times they dismissed you as just another dreamer. And now, the very thing they mocked had become undeniable. Some of them tried to rewrite the past. They suddenly acted as if they had always believed in you, as if they had always known you would make it. They started to align themselves with your journey, hoping to bask in the glow of your success. "I always knew you had it in you," they said, their words laced with forced enthusiasm. But you remembered everything. You remembered the days when you stood alone, the moments when their words stung deeper than any wound, the times when their doubts almost made you question yourself. And yet, despite it all, you didn't let their disbelief define you. You moved forward, not because of them, but in spite of them. Then there were those who still couldn't accept it. Their pride wouldn't allow them to admit they were wrong. So instead, they looked for flaws, for cracks in your success, for any reason to discredit what you had achieved. They told themselves it was just a phase, that you would eventually fail, that you weren't as great as people now claimed you to be. But even as they clung to their bitterness, they couldn't ignore the truth standing right in front of them. You had done the impossible. You had proven every single one of them wrong, not by arguing, not by seeking their approval, but by letting your actions speak louder than words. And then, something even more powerful began to happen. The same people who once doubted you started to change. Your success forced them to confront their own limiting beliefs. They started to wonder, if you could do it, what was stopping them? If the person they once underestimated could rise beyond all expectations, then maybe, just maybe, they had been holding themselves back all along. Your journey became more than just your own victory. It became a mirror for those around you. You showed them what was possible when someone refuses to accept limits. You became living proof that the impossible is only impossible until it's done. But here's the thing, you never did this for them. Their recognition, their praise, their acceptance, it was never your goal. You didn't set out to prove them wrong. You set out to prove yourself right. The people who doubted you were never your true opposition. Your real battle was always against your own doubts, your own fears, your own moments of weakness. And now, standing on the other side, you realize that their opinions never truly mattered. The only thing that ever mattered was your belief in yourself. Yet, despite this, you can't ignore the shift in how they look at you now. The way they speak to you has changed. There's hesitation where there was once arrogance. There's admiration where there was once ridicule. Some of them now seek your advice, your guidance, your insight. They want to understand how you did it. They want to know what they missed, what they overlooked. And for the first time, they are willing to listen, because now they see the truth. But you also understand something deeper. This journey was never about proving a point to them. It was about evolving into the person you were always meant to be. The struggle, the isolation, the endless nights of doubt, it was all part of the process, because without it, you wouldn't have become this version of yourself. And that is the greatest victory of all. Now, the world sees you differently, but more importantly, you see yourself differently. And that changes everything. Now that the truth is undeniable, everything has changed. The ones who once doubted you, the ones who ridiculed your dreams, and the ones who believed you would never make it, they are all silent. Some are in awe, some are envious, and some are trying to convince themselves that they always knew you would succeed. But you remember everything. You remember the nights when you felt alone, the moments when their words cut deep, the times when you questioned whether it was all worth it. And now, as you stand at the top, you realize something even greater. This was never just about proving them wrong. This was about proving to yourself that you were right all along. But now, a new challenge arises. With success comes a different kind of pressure. You are no longer invisible. You are no longer the person struggling in the shadows, unnoticed and underestimated. Now, you are the one they look up to, the one they analyze, the one they try to figure out. They want to know your secrets, your mindset, your formula for success. Some want to learn from you, while others hope to find a weakness, a flaw, a reason to believe that your success was a fluke. Because deep down, many still refuse to accept the truth, that greatness is possible for those who refuse to quit. Some of them will try to claim a piece of your victory. They will rewrite history, pretending they were always on your side. "I always believed in you," they'll say, conveniently forgetting the times they laughed at your ambition. They will try to associate themselves with your journey, hoping to share in the glory they never helped build. But you don't need their validation now. You never did. Because the truth is, you made it despite them, not because of them. And then, there are those who will still refuse to acknowledge your effort. Instead of admitting they were wrong, they will look for excuses. They will say you were just lucky, that the timing worked in your favor, that you had advantages they didn't. They will find any reason to avoid facing the harsh reality that they could have done something too, but they chose not to. They will try to undermine your achievements, hoping to bring you down to their level. But the difference is clear. You took action while they made excuses. You kept going while they stood still. And no matter what they say, they can't change the fact that you did what they thought was impossible. Yet, despite everything, you hold no resentment. Because now you understand that their doubt was never really about you, it was about themselves. Their disbelief in you was a reflection of their own limitations, their own fears, their own insecurities. They weren't rejecting your dreams. They were rejecting the possibility that they could achieve something more. Because if they admitted that you were right, they would have to confront the fact that they had been holding themselves back all along, and that is something most people are too afraid to face. But you faced it. You confronted every fear, every doubt, every obstacle, and you refused to let any of it stop you. That's why you made it. That's why you succeeded where others gave up. And now you stand as proof that the impossible is just a word, that limits exist only in the mind, and that belief backed by action can change everything. You didn't just succeed, you became a symbol of what's possible. Now they see the truth. They see that it wasn't luck, it wasn't a coincidence, it wasn't an accident. It was the result of relentless effort, unwavering belief, and an unbreakable will. And whether they accept it or not, they will never see you the same way again. Because you are no longer the person they once doubted. You are the chosen one, the one who refused to break, the one who defied the odds, the one who turned dreams into reality. And nothing will ever be the same again.